Hi and welcome to today's episode, which is all about making a deliciously comforting soup, ready for cold and flu season. Now that we're galloping towards the winter, I thought it might be the perfect time of trying to make a vegan twist on a classic soup that I used to really enjoy and kind of miss. So I'm going to make chicken noodle soup. So it's going to be vegetables in a nice clear broth, and then I'm going to show you how to make kind of tofu chicken. It's a similar process to how I did the bacon for the pancake sandwiches. It's going to be super easy. I'm going to cut the tofu and pat that dry first, and then that can just be chilling out of the way for a little bit, and then I'm not having to scramble to get things all done at the same time. I've got a big block of extra firm tofu. If you're in the UK, I use the Tofu brand, just because it's got a really nice dense meaty texture, which is perfect when you're trying to replicate meaty kind of things. I'm going to snip the corner off, squeeze the liquid out. Got a few sheets of paper towel. I'm going to use this to dab the liquid off the outside of the tofu. Yeah, I think I'm going to do half the block, and then I'll save the other half for another day. Just slice through, cut a slab off. Put my slices on the paper towel. You can try and do it without the patting stage, but I just find the stock powder that I'm going to put on the outside doesn't stick as well. Now I'm going to air fry my tofu separately because it just helps that meaty texture. Because if you keep tofu in liquid, especially if you're heating it, it can start breaking down a little bit. Whereas I want lots of chewiness, because that'll be a great texture in with the veg. So I'll leave those in the paper off to the side. In my big pot here, I've got maybe 1.5 tablespoons or so of extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to start that heating very gently. This is an induction stove, so you've got to take things really slow, otherwise you can blow the bottom of the pan. The veg I'm going to use, I've got 3 stalks of celery, 3 kind of medium-sized carrots, and then 2 red onions and a leek. So I'm just going to cut that down to fairly large dice. I mean, if you want it super thin and small, feel free, be as fancy as you like. I'm going rustic. So for the onions, I'm just going to split these in half. Peel off the kind of outer papery bits. For the dice, I'm just going to make several vertical cuts like that, and then just go across those horizontally. So we'll end up nice chunky bits. You can use white onions as well, or even the yellow ones. I'm using red because that's what I've got. The white are going to give you a more intense flavour, which in a soup is probably going to be a bit better. For the celery, I'm taking the top, but I'm going to leave that end just so then I've got something to hang on to. I'm going to put vertical slices into these, and then again just go through those. And then for the carrots, take off the 2 ends. And then I'll split these into quarters. Can be a bit fiddly with carrots because they're hard, but just do what you can. I tend to put the tip in like that, and then just pull the knife back like that. And then again, just make some horizontal cuts. So I'm going to go in with those veg, get everything coated in a bit of oil. I'm going to put a pinch of salt on at this stage, 1/4 teaspoon or so, and that's going to help pull a little bit of the moisture out the veggies. And then we're going to fry these off until they start softening and get a little bit of colour on. Just prep the leek. So I'm just going to take off this top part here because that's very fibrous. So you can see it's very stringy, which isn't really nice to eat. I'm going to leave it whole, but then cut it into fairly thin rounds, like little coins. It's difficult to clean leeks properly because of the structure of them. So if you see any really muddy bits, just pull them out. Yeah, so that's about what we're after, kind of 1 centimetre or so. I'm going to add the leeks in. I've got a few little fresh bay leaves here, feel free to use dry. And then I've got a few garlic cloves. There's 7 cloves, but some of them are really small. So maybe do 3 or 4, depending on how much you like garlic. I'm doing mine with the garlic press. So you just put a piece in the chamber, squeeze it through. You don't have to peel them first, but I find you get a bit less wastage if you do. You can also use avocado leaves, they're quite nice. I'm going to do a teaspoon of thyme. It's got a really aromatic, woody kind of flavour and smell to it. 1/2 teaspoon of marjoram. It's very fresh and vibrant, even though it's a dry herb. Got a very punchy aroma. And then this one's known as savoury. It's quite similar to rosemary, very woody, fragrant. If you can't get it, just get rosemary. So the smell of the veg has now changed. It's more umami, which means a lot of the liquid is evaporated. So now things are starting to caramelize, like the sugars in the veg. And when I pull everything back, you can see the bottom of the pan is much drier. So I'll tip in the dish of aromatics, fry those in, and then let that cook for a minute, maybe 2 minutes, just until you smell the garlic quite potently. So to get the veg to this stage, I've had the hob on 7, mine goes up to 9, so it's a medium high, and I've just dropped it down to 6 because burnt garlic tastes really bitter, so you want to try and avoid that. I'm going to add in a good grind of pepper. I'm using green pepper because that's what I've got in, but feel free to use black. Garlic's cooked down a little bit, so it's taken out some of that aggressive flavour that garlic has, and it's just lovely toasted, roasty kind of scent to it. This is totally optional, but I'm going to add in some extra dry vermouth. You could also add a splash of white wine, sherry, that kind of thing. Just going to do a couple of tablespoons. It's just to give it a nice, slightly boozy little kick to it, and added a little bit of flavour. This is the stock powder that I'm going to use. I use Massel plant-based. If you can't find anything in your local supermarket, have a look in the Chinese supermarket. A lot of theirs are plant-based. I'll start with, that's probably 2 tablespoons of the stock powder. So I'm going to pour water in. And this is going to depend a little bit on the size of your pan, but you want everything to be submerged. Just see if it needs anything at this stage. Yeah, another spoonful of the stock, so probably 4 tablespoons altogether. I'm going to add a little bit of ground mace into this. It's the membrane that grows around a nutmeg. I'll see if I can find a picture and slot it in for you. It's got a sharper flavour than nutmeg, but unsurprisingly, tastes a little bit like nutmeg, like a 1/4 teaspoon thereabouts. If you haven't got the mace or you can't find it, just use a bit of nutmeg, not a problem. Let's try that. Ooh, yum. I'm going to put the lid on and drop this down to 3, so it's on a low simmer, and then we'll just let that bubble away while I do the tofu. I'm also going to cook off some quinoa to put in the bowl with the chicken soup, so I'm just going to cook this in a separate pan. If you want to add grains or anything into the soup, I'd cook it separately, especially quinoa, because it's got quite a distinct flavour. So if you cook that in the water, everything's going to have that distinct flavour. Not that it's unpleasant, but it's just, you know, you want things to kind of taste of themselves. Back to the tofu. So I'm going to use that same chicken stock powder to coat the outside of it. Pop a spoonful in, maybe 2 tablespoons, just under 2 tablespoons. Pop a slice in. Now this stock powder's got maltodextrin in it, and it gives almost like a crust on the outside, which is really pleasant when you bite into it. So that's a slice all coated in the stock. So I'm going to put that on a bit of baking paper. I buy the Massel powder from Amazon, so if you can't find it anywhere else, look on there as well. Put my slices in the air fryer, and then I'm going to spritz on a little bit of oil. I'm going to do them at 180, which is about 350 Fahrenheit. I'll do it 15 minutes altogether, but I'm going to flip them over halfway through, so I'll set that at 8. For the noodles, I've decided to use penne. My plan is to freeze some of the soup, and pasta in liquid in the freezer doesn't really work great. It goes very mushy. So I'm going to layer the pasta, put some of the broth and the veggies in, and put the tofu in and the quinoa, and keep things separate, because it just means it's going to give the maximum amount of life in the freezer. Same, I was thinking I might put potatoes in it, but again, potatoes just really don't freeze very well. They're really grainy. Before doing this, I made like a creamy pasta sauce with rocket, arugula and cashews, so it meant I could have pasta for that dish and then also have some for this. So I just boiled this off and then coated everything in olive oil just to stop it sticking together. If you're making a pot like that and you're going to finish it within 1 or 2 days, feel free to cook the pasta in the liquid. You can use spaghetti, you could use soba noodles, rice noodles, anything you like really, just pop it all in. You can also use pearl barley as well, which is really nice. So it's this stuff. I use this in the baked grain risotto. If you've ever had Scotch broth, that's the grain that they put in there. So it holds its shape really well. And you can leave that in liquid for ages and it doesn't go too soft and soggy. Just show you the tofu halfway through, just so you can see what it looks like. So it's starting to tighten up, kind of ejects all of its excess liquid. I've lost a little foam cap off my microphone. Hope that's not going to cause problems. So here's a rather delicious looking bowl of comfort food. And you just know that's going to do you some good, don't you? Yes. So the tofu, it's got some stretch to it, which means it's going to have some chew. It's got a nice bit of firmness. Let's have a little go. You can taste the individual veg, which is really nice. There's some nice textures. Like the veg is soft, but then there's still a little bit of bite to them. It's not just mush. That vermouth, although it's completely optional, it's suggested because it just adds a little bit of something. If you want more fatty mouthfeel, feel free to drizzle over some extra virgin olive oil onto the bowl. Or you could do maybe some walnut oil, something like that. I mean, next time a pal is sick, send them over a pot of this and they'll thank you. I've got a few ideas for variations, so I'll stick those in the pinned comment for you if you want a couple of other ideas. Because now you've got like a base soup, you can start doing different things with it, but the main method will remain the same. That's cracking. And relatively quick as well. I think the longest thing was prepping the veg and then frying those off because it's quite a big quantity. It takes a while for them to cook down, but it's a minimal effort. No reason you can't do that midweek. I'm going to say hello and a huge thank you to my members over on Patreon. It's really nice having people on board who support all my little endeavours. My patrons are going to be deciding whether they want the soup or if they want the creamy pasta sauce that I made. They'll vote on which video I publish next. So if you want to get in on some of that voting action, I'll leave a link down in the description. You'll also get access to bonus content, recipe walkthroughs, craft project stuff, that kind of thing. If you want more plant-based recipes to help you chase away the winter blues, hit subscribe and then you won't miss a single episode. If you turn on notifications, you'll be alerted as soon as they're ready. While you're waiting for the next one, drop a like down below and then check out this one.